my girl AD. She might be blind to red flags. Laura's like, you packed my stuff, and Jeremy's like, yeah, it's already packed. Chelsea was gonna marry whoever asked her.
Jimmy, I'm thinking of your fiance.
She says she thinks that Jeremy is a freaking con artist. You already picked your poison. Now you gotta deal with it. What is up, you guys? It's Nisha Nichelle, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to be getting into the rest of the lake day, y'all. The rest of episode 11. Like I said in my last video, there is a lot of tea to be spilled here. If you have not watched part 1, make sure that you go watch part 1 right now. It'll be up here. I'll also make a playlist for all of my Love is Blind videos. Go watch part 1, because if you don't watch part 1, none of this stuff in part 2 is going to make any sense. We're pretty much going to be recapping the rest of episode 11, getting into the tea, spilling the drama, giving my reaction, giving my thoughts and opinions. It's going to be lit. If you watch part 1, you know it's lit. As you know, before every single video, we have a verse of the day every single day. I'm actually using my phone to record right now, so I'm going to do this one off the dome. What more popular verse than John 3:16? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, so that whosoever loved him shall not perish but have everlasting life. And that is on period, poo. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the video. The video is gonna pick up exactly where we left off. So again, go watch part 1 if you haven't seen it yet. But if you have, get ready for the tea, baby. Then we come to the lake day. Now there is a lot to unpack at the lake day. So many conversations happened. Jimmy met Jessica for the first time. Sarah, Ann, and AD had a conversation, and also Chelsea had a conversation with Trevor. Oh, and also Laura and Jeremy had a conversation after everything that went down with them in the previous episodes. So I'm kind of going to get into how all of those conversations went. So the lake scene pretty much starts with a debrief with the girls at the lakeside. AD is like, where is Jeremy? And Laura pretty much starts with expressing her dislike for Sarah, and she pretty much says she doesn't respect her, and then that she also expected a lot more from Jeremy. Coming home at 5 a.m. is unacceptable, and he wasn't protecting her heart. And she also said that the way he moved after hurt her as well, because she expected a lot more of him after he messed up, and he just didn't give it to her, which I can understand. She said that she believes that Jeremy basically has feelings for Sarah and that he doesn't know how to process and express. She feels like he was fake throughout the whole process. She doesn't feel like anything he said in the pause was real. Anything that they've done up to this point was real, and that Jeremy's basically a fake person and she doesn't want to be with him anymore. She also says that she still does have the engagement ring, but if he asks for it back, she's gonna tell him to kick rocks. And I agree, babe, because you don't need that ring back to give it to Sarah Ann. Why? So then this is where a lot of people start showing up in the episode. Trevor shows up, Jessica shows up with Mackenzie. The scene is so funny because they're like zooming in on each person's face. Like when Jessica showed up, they zoom in on Jimmy. When Trevor shows up, they zoom in on Chelsea, and it's just like, y'all, the editors at this point were doing their thing.
Y'all.
Oh God, here we go.
Hello. Hi,
Hey,
friends.
how's it going?
Hey.
I'm Johnny.
Mackenzie. Hi.
Mackenzie, nice to meet you.
Trevor, nice to meet you.
I'm Jess.
Jess, nice to meet you.
Jimmy, nice to meet you.
I'm stressed out. Jimmy. Oh, not a church hug.
Nice to meet you.
So it cuts to Jimmy immediately saying, yeah, Jess is attractive, of course. She's a beautiful girl. Jimmy, we knew that. You just didn't know that, babe, but we knew that. We knew that.
Seeing Jess and hearing her again, it's tough. She left me with a lot of emotions, and I mean, Jess is very good looking. I am attracted to her.
So after this, fast forward a little bit, Jimmy and Jessica end up having a conversation. So this conversation starts with Jimmy and Jessica having to talk about Chelsea. Jessica is basically like, how's everything going? And Jimmy is like, it's going really well. Chelsea meeting my parents went very well, but it's been tough because they've had quite a few arguments, which is very weird because like I said, Jimmy and Chelsea always present themselves very well. But here Jimmy actually broke down to Jessica what was going on, and Jessica was basically the other girl that he was gonna choose in the pod. So it was like, so you would tell her what's going on because you're attracted to her, but you're not telling your parents what's going on. Interesting.
Did she meet your family?
She did.
How was it? They adored her, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was the easiest part of everything that we've done so far, meeting the family.
And you felt completely at peace with it?
Yeah, but it's like, how is that easy? And then we had our biggest fight this been a roller coaster.
Jessica is a girl's girl, so she hypes Chelsea. She's like, you know, be good to her. And she kind of gives him some advice about their relationship and then the fight that they had previously. She's basically like, be good to Chelsea. I'm very happy for you guys.
I want you to be good to her. Not me being the one giving you advice. This is like, you're like, please shut up. Don't look at this as advice coming from like an ex. Look at it as advice coming from like one of her good friends.
Are you an ex?
And then they kind of get into what happened in their relationship in the pods. Because again, this is their first time seeing each other. This is their first time talking outside of the pods and kind of having that in-person interaction. So Jimmy is like, he basically felt a lot of pressure in their relationship in the pods. I guess he felt like Jessica kind of expected a lot from him that he just wasn't able to give her at the moment. Jessica had wrote Jimmy this letter and it basically poured out her whole heart to him. Jimmy didn't have much to say after he read that letter. Like, he read it aloud and he didn't validate her at all. Jessica was basically telling Jimmy, like, after that she pretty much knew this is not the person for me, but she was still really hoping that Jimmy would choose her because at that point she loved him and she wanted to be with him and she wanted to marry him and work on things.
I told you I've never dated anybody that's even remotely like you, personality wise. I just felt really pressured with you.
You read my letter out loud and then you were dead silent.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were silent, that was so loud.
And Jimmy is like, I'm sorry I put you in that position. Mind you, on this same episode, possibly the same night, Jimmy also had told Chelsea that he loved her. And that's something that he never told to Jessica, which is really weird. Also, since we didn't go back to previous episodes and kind of review those, Chelsea told Jimmy that she looked like Megan Fox. And I really think that plays into why Jimmy chose her, because he had a really strong connection with her and he also had a really strong connection with Jessica, but he didn't know how either of them looked. So if a girl is telling you, hey, I look like Megan Fox, but you have a strong connection with both and one has a kid and one doesn't, who are you gonna choose? So I think that's why Jimmy chose Chelsea anyway.
If you give someone a portion of what you gave to me, someone's gonna be the luckiest man in the world. I care about you a lot.
Basically, Jessica was like, you know, after she heard what he said to Chelsea, that really broke her. She said that's the most she cried in her whole entire life. Why? I don't really know, but that's what she said. And Jimmy is like, yeah, I'm sorry I put you in that position, I shouldn't have done that. But he was pretty much like, after we had that disagreement in the pods, he just wasn't so sure about their relationship anymore, and he tells her that she was his number one up until that day. But it's like, why would you tell her that while your fiance is literally up the stairs, up the hill, babe? She's right up there.
You were my number one still.
And so Jessica's like, you know, it still stings a little bit. I had a lot of love for you. You know more about me than anybody else in the world. Again, how? I don't know.
You know more about me than literally anyone else walking the planet. So right now I just haven't gotten over like what it is. I'm sure I will again.
But it kind of ends with Jessica forgiving Jimmy for the stuff that happened in the pods. And she also says that the husband or the man that she's supposed to be with will validate her in all of her feelings, which I completely agree with. She gives her blessing again on Jimmy and Chelsea's relationship, which I love. She's such a girl's girl. It basically ends with Jimmy kind of saying to Jessica that she terrifies him. Why does she terrify you, Jimmy? Like, babe, you already picked your poison. Now you gotta deal with it.
You terrify me.
I don't want you to be terrified.
That was crazy to me, but it was interesting seeing their interaction together and seeing how they talk and all that stuff. I was like Jimmy want a little bit of Jessie, J&J. So then Sarah Ann shows up at the freaking barbecue lakeside, whatever was going on there. But she shows up and it's crazy because again, the editors were doing their thing and they kind of panned around to everybody's faces and literally everybody ignored Sarah Ann. Nobody gave her a hug. Jessica didn't give her a hug. Laura didn't give her a hug. I think Laura said hey, but I also feel like that hey was edited. I don't know, or it might not have been, but she might have been saying hey to the other girl who walked in with Sarah Ann. I don't know what her name was, but she was just another girl in the pods. Basically, nobody really greets Sarah Ann. I think the only person that jumped up to say something to Sarah Ann was Chelsea, of course. I mean, who else would it be? At this point, who else would it be? Of course, Chelsea gives her a hug. They kind of show everybody's reaction. Jeremy was like, oh, well, this is awkward.
Hey, guys. Hi. Jeremy. Oh, my God. Hey, guys. Hey, y'all. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Hi. How are you? Okay.
Oh, it's so awkward.
And that was pretty much that for then. Trevor and Chelsea have like a little awkward conversation. I say it's awkward because of everything we know about Trevor now. If you don't know, Trevor had a girlfriend this whole time on the show. So sorry if that was a spoiler alert. If you didn't know that, Trevor is not the man we thought he was, y'all. He has a girlfriend.
Y'all, when I tell you the tea is hot, I mean it is scalding. Texts have just been released between Trevor and his girlfriend. Yes, girlfriend at the time when he was filming Love is Blind. They were in a serious, committed, and loving relationship before Love is Blind, during the pods, and immediately continued it upon his return home. In the messages, which are timestamped the day he left for filming, Trevor allegedly tells his girlfriend of the time that he loves her so much, and that upon meeting another cast member, they both spoke and agreed that no matter what, they are not getting married.
And he's had a girlfriend. They just broke up like 3 months prior to the show airing. I think it's crazy. But they basically have a conversation, and the conversation is very similar to the conversation that Jimmy and Jessica had. Trevor basically pulls her over to talk to her. He validates her appearance, which I think was big for Chelsea. He's like, you know, you're very attractive. He said it like 2 or 3 times, and Chelsea's like, ha ha ha. Trevor starts the conversation by saying that he loves Jimmy. You know, that's kind of his bro. He has a lot of respect for him. But Chelsea's decision to him doesn't make a lot of sense. He asked the question again that he had previously asked in the pause, which was, if I had proposed to you first, would you have said yes? Because in the pause, Jimmy got to propose to Chelsea before Trevor could ever get to her.
I'm glad it's Jimmy because I love Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But your decision doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't mean it was a wrong decision. If orders were switched and I went first,
Yeah.
would there be a different outcome?
There wouldn't have been, just because Jimmy and I
You
had a
have to say that to be a
conversation.
good person.
No,
I know.
no. I hope you do know, like, you were my number one up until...
Up until the last day when I wasn't.
Yeah.
And Chelsea's answer still stands. It's exactly what she said in the pause, that she wouldn't have chose Trevor over Jimmy. But I don't know how true this is, because you gotta remember, like, they know that they're being filmed, and they know that they're gonna get the good parts, and that their partner, if they decide to marry them, is gonna watch his back. I personally feel like Chelsea was gonna marry whoever asked her. I feel like she just wanted to be loved, she wanted to feel validated, and whoever got to her first and whoever said the speech the best, she was gonna marry them. And I felt like she also felt better about picking Jimmy over Trevor, even though Trevor, like, she said Trevor gave her everything he needed. He was her number one up until the last day in the pod. Same thing Jimmy said to Jessica. She said she loves Trevor, she can still see a life with him, she thinks about him a lot, and it's hard not to think about him.
Going into the last day, I was one. Damn you.
I care about you. Like, I did love you, and I do love you. I think you're amazing, and I feel like life with you would be really fun, and I feel like you would give me so much love. And Jimmy and I have had some...
You've been at each other's throats?
Yeah, I got a dirty martini drunk the other night, and
That's okay.
we had an argument, and I kind of just played it into him. I got everything I needed from you every single day.
So like I said, I really just feel like Chelsea was gonna say yes to whoever got to her first. And I feel like another reason that she said yes to Jimmy was because she wanted to get a one-up on Jessica, and not saying that in like a mean way. And I'm assuming here, y'all, I want to be clear, Chelsea was probably one of the girls who always felt like, you know, the ugly duckling of the group. She never got much attention. She felt validated that she can get the guy over the pretty girl. And I'm saying that loosely. Like I said, it is a assumption, but I really do feel like that's another reason why Chelsea went ahead and said yes to Jimmy, because she's like, wow, finally somebody chose me. But girl, they can't see you. I would even venture to say that if they could see each other, Jimmy definitely would have chose Jessica. I don't know if that would have been the right decision. I don't know if they're meant to be together, but I think that things would have been a lot different, and I would just say that. So they basically kind of end this conversation with Trevor, you know, saying that she's attractive again, and kind of talking about the bracelets that they got in the pods, which is really cute. I thought the bracelets was so cute in the pods because they could tap it, basically like an I love you bracelet, or like I'm thinking of you. And so I thought, you know, as a romantic, I thought that was so cute. Trevor's like, he makes a joke with Chelsea and is like, we could still keep them on, I could just tap it every day, I'm thinking of you.
I want to like know my brain with either outcome of like, because you're attractive.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks. I'm glad you kept the bracelet.
Yeah.
I have mine still.
You want to sit in? I need the app. Listen, Jimmy, I'm thinking of your fiance.
And so that was cute. They ended the scene there. And then Chelsea made like a little joke about Amy and Johnny being the strongest couple. She said something like, oh, I'm gonna go over to the strongest couple, blah, blah, blah. And I think she kind of said it to Trevor. But I don't think they showed her saying it to Trevor. But like she said it to Trevor and Jimmy kind of got upset about it literally at the lake day. He's like, well, why would you say they're the strongest couple? And it's like, boo, they're the strongest couple, babe. They haven't had no conflict. The only thing that they've been through up until this point is the issue with birth control, a vasectomy, or whatever the case may be. They can't really decide on that yet, but they are the strongest couple.
You can't say they're the strongest couple. Don't. No, can't say it.
Okay.
Or you don't. You don't think we were?
I mean, I think we're right behind them. I think we're with them.
I thought that was interesting that Jimmy got upset about that, because it's like, boo, be real. Let's be real here. You was just about to break up with your fiance last night, and then she reeled you back in, as she always does. The next big conversation that happens at the lake was Laura and Jeremy speaking. This is the first time they spoke to each other in, I believe, like 3 days. It starts the conversation with Jeremy basically saying that he had texted her to see how she was doing, and he had asked to send her flowers, and he felt like he kept getting really rude responses from Laura, which, understandable, you were out with another girl, the other girl that you might have been engaged to until 5 a.m. I would have been mean too. Like, it's reasonable. Jeremy basically said like the first response that he got from her was, it sucks to know that your name has changed from fiance to Jeremy in my phone.
I want to send you something, or when I tell you or I ask you how you're doing, and one of the first responses I get is, it sucks to know that your name changed from fiance to just Jeremy in my phone. Like, oh, that really sucks to hear that.
And I guess Jeremy was very taken aback by that. He didn't like that. He felt like Laura was being very rude. And Laura basically stopped him right in his tracks and was like, no, that's not what happened. I didn't respond. Super rude. I literally said no thank you, and I spelt it wrong. That's how I know what I said. She said it was because at that point in time, she didn't want flowers. Like, that's not what she needed from him.
I give you my address and said no thank you, because flowers is not what I'm looking for.
No, I'm gonna disagree with that.
At the moment, she needed validation. She needed an apology. She needed reassurance, and he wasn't able to give that to her. He basically is like, how are you doing? Let me send you some flowers. Flowers is not going to fix everything, babe. I don't know, but it's something about men and like flowers and like spending money. I feel like that's not going to fix everything. If you break a plate and you pick it up and try to put it back together, it's still going to be broken. I use that analogy all the time because I feel like it's so good. Like, if you literally drop a plate on the floor and try to pick up the pieces and glue it back together, it's still going to be broken. It's going to take a lot of work to get that plate to look like it's a brand new plate that was never broken. And so that's how I look at relationships. Like, babe, you broke me, so you're going to have a lot of work to pick up the pieces and make this plate look brand new and fresh and be as presentable as it was when you first got it. And so that's basically what Lauren is telling Jeremy. Like, I didn't need flowers from you at the moment. I needed reassurance. I needed to know that you're in this as much as I am, and he didn't give that to her. And she's like, I'm tired of you trying to make me look bad and flip stuff around. She's basically like, pull up the text because I wasn't being rude. Jeremy doesn't pull up the text. She says she thinks that Jeremy is a freaking con artist and he hasn't been authentic since day one, and she says he has feelings for Sarah Ann that he doesn't know how to process. He doesn't know how to express. Jeremy did not come into the show with the best intentions. He did not come in with the maturity level that he needed in order for a marriage. And Jeremy's like, whoa, 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 I tried to make up for it. And Laura's like, yeah, 3 days later and you offered to send flowers and said, how are you doing? Like, that's not gonna cut it.
On the other hand, trying to have a con artist.
Okay.
You have feelings for another person that you don't know how to process. You don't know how to communicate your feelings or much of anything.
I did come into this with the best intentions.
Well, I definitely don't believe that. You think you came in here with the maturity level you need to have a marriage? There's no way in hell.
Like, I owned what I did. Have I not said that repeatedly?
Oh, I don't know, 3 days later, and then you're confused why I don't meet you with joy and happiness.
Laura basically at this point is telling Jeremy to kick rocks. She's like, we can agree to disagree. And Jeremy's like, I'm not gonna agree on, you know, he said the S word, the stuff that you poop out. Yeah, Laura's like, okay, well, fine, I'll come to get my stuff. And Jeremy's like, it's already packed.
We're clearly not gonna have a civil conversation about this. That's fine.
I'll come get the rest of my tomorrow.
I already packed it up, so it's already ready to go.
You already packed up my Your engagement just ended. You are not a man. You're not man enough for me. You've never have been, okay?
Laura's like, you packed my stuff, and Jeremy's like, yeah, it's already packed. I was like, Jeremy, honey, you are something else. Like, you are something else. I feel like Laura handled that situation as well as she could, because babe, if it was me, If it was me now, I feel like I could handle it a lot better because I'm a woman of the Lord. But me a year ago, or even like 3 months ago, I feel like I was still, you know, a good Christian woman, but I've processed and learned so much in like the last month or two because I've really been in my word a lot, and I just feel like I wouldn't react like that now, but I definitely understand her reaction. It was a reaction of humanity, like she's just a person like everybody else. So I totally got it, and that was the end of their scene. Babe, her bags were waiting for her at the door, just like she should have been waiting for him at the door when he got home at 5 a.m. and that's all I'm gonna say about that. And so the next important scene at the lake was Sarah Ann being read to filth by AD. I love my girl AD. She might be blind to red flags, but she can see the red flags in other people's relationship, and we gotta give it up for her. So this conversation basically starts with AD posing the question like, hey, do you really think it was appropriate to send a about to be married man a DM? Because in previous episodes, Sarah Ann had DM'd Jeremy. Before Laura Ann and Jeremy even had any issues, Sarah Ann DM'd him and was like, hey, you know, I had a great experience with you. Pretty much like, if it doesn't work out, I'm here. I'm here. And the AD's like, do you really think that was appropriate? Because me, I don't think it was appropriate. To me, you should treat it as if this wasn't a show. I mean, I know it was, but like, you should treat it as if this wasn't a show and that they just got married in real life. And I'll be dog-owned if you text my fiance and be like, hey, the door's still open, babe, it's closed. It's closed. So Sarah Ann basically tells her in this situation, no, because she had fallen in love with him. They were in the pods. And this is sort of a situation where she had real feelings. But she also stated that she didn't want to be a pick-me in the pod. She didn't want to say, hey, fight for me. I want you so bad. Whatever, whatever.
I saw the DM that you sent to him.
Yeah.
You don't think it's a little outlandish to tell a man who just got engaged that if the door's still open?
In this scenario, no, and not to interrupt you, in this scenario, no, because I'm realistic and I'm well aware of the situation.
Hold on, I didn't finish my question. Just went on a whole getaway with a woman and he did not choose you.
Yeah.
And then to DM him and say, is the door still open? My question is...
I didn't say, is the door still open?
Okay, I read it. My question is, did Jeremy leave the door open for you and him?
Yeah.
Which, honestly, at the end of the day, you shouldn't have to tell a man to fight for you regardless. If that man wants you, he gonna show it. That's what AD basically told her, like, girl, that was inappropriate. He did not choose you. If y'all saw the episode, y'all know. If you know, you know. He did not choose you. So why are you still trying to go after this about to be married man? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I really feel like he left the door open. She's like, she got to know him really well in the pods. Even after their conversation that night in the car when he was out till 5 a.m., she could read him very well, and she knows him very well, and she knows that the door was still open for her, and she was being a realist, and she wanted to basically see what was up. And she doesn't feel like in this particular situation it was wrong because she had already fallen in love with him. It's a love is blind situation, that sort of thing.
He left the door open.
And from my perspective, yes.
In what way, from your perspective, did he?
Because my relationship with him is different than anyone else's, right?
For sure.
So over the period of time in the pods, I got to know him as a person. And the way that he made me feel and all of that. And also, I voiced that to him, how he made me feel.
Yeah.
So I could read him. I knew. The way he said it, I mean, the way he broke up with me, right? He was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I can't come up with, like, I guess really it's just a feeling. Like, that's how it was. And then, like, I didn't do what I know I should have done, which is, are you sure? But I didn't want to be pick me. And I'm not going to convince.
Nobody wants to be a pick me.
I'm not going to convince a man
Naturally.
to be with me. Like, if you want to be with me, pick me.
Yep.
And AD basically says, like, no, babe, you're wrong. You should not have texted that man. He did not choose you. What is going on in your head? And AD poses another question, like, hey, what happened in the car? Like, did anything happen? And Sarah Ann says, no, we kept it very respectful. I will stick to that to this day. But she basically told him being Jeremy, that she didn't want to be in a love triangle and that Jeremy needs to figure out what he's doing. And Jeremy told her, like, hey, I'm going to figure it out. Basically, Jeremy told her that he was going to break things off with Laura.
I was out drinking for 3+ hours with friends.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's there. Mind you, I've never met this man in my life, right? And we have a full connection. So, sure enough, we had a conversation. I got a lot off my chest and finally got to say exactly what I needed. And it was closure for me, right?
Yeah.
And I will stand by that till the day I die. I did not cross the line with him, and I did not let him in my house. We were talking. How to end, I told him, I was like, here's the thing. I was transparent with him too. I was like, you need to figure that out before, I'm not going to be in a love triangle. It's like, you know, like, at the end of the day, like, you need to figure that out. And he's like, I'm going to, and then we ended it there.
But if Jeremy told you that the night that he dropped you off at home at 5 a.m., him and Laura hadn't really been having many problems up until then, that was already wrong on Jeremy's part. He shouldn't have been speaking like that, because him and Laura didn't get into the biggest argument thus far until that morning when he came home at 5 a.m. So unless y'all was texting about it after the fight and then the lake day happened, like, hey, yeah, I think we're gonna just break it off with her, it's not working, then that's another story. But this whole situation with Sarah Ann was just kind of crazy. To me, she moved a little bit shisty. I don't know about that. I don't agree with that. And that's basically what AD tells her. They kind of end the scene with AD getting up and walking away because they don't agree.
Yeah. What did he tell you?
He told me that he's breaking everything off, and I was like, okay.
I hear you, but I think that's kind of crazy, Sarah. Don't finish my sentence, or can I? You know she's engaged to this man and not giving them a fighting chance.
Hang on, if a man stepped out, then that's not my fault. That's his fault.
He did not choose you.
Okay.
So for you to then circle back when he made his choice.
Yeah, I didn't.
Sarah's kind of heated at this point. AD has a confessional and is basically like, I'm Team Laura. I don't think that was appropriate. I think it lacked class. I'm Team Laura.
I think it's weird that Sarah Ann thinks she did nothing wrong. I thought it lacked class. I'm Team Laura.
So after this, Sarah Ann and Jeremy now have a talk. So much tea, y'all. So much tea, literally. So Sarah and Jeremy are like walking to have their conversation. The editors kind of pan around the room and they're like, that is crazy that they're literally going to have a conversation. Laura's like, I have no respect for her, blah, 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 blah. He should have treated me better, blah, blah, blah. The conversation with Sarah Ann and Jeremy starts. She's like emotional, she's crying. This is off the heels of the conversation with AD. Sarah's like, hey, this is BS. Like, why are these girls treating me like this? They're interrogating me. They should be worried about their own relationships and not what I have going on. She said that the message to Jeremy after the pods did not come from a bad place. She didn't have bad intentions when she sent the message, but she just really wanted to get her point across. She said that she had sent the message right when she got back, which was way before Jeremy and Laura came back from vacation and everything that they had going on. So she just felt like it was on the heels of her being emotional and him not picking her in the pods. It didn't come from a bad place, is basically what she was saying. The whole time Jeremy is agreeing with her. Yeah, I agree. He don't say more than 10 words in this conversation. He don't. But he's like, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, you're right.
The message was not bad, in my opinion. Did you think it was bad?
I didn't think it was bad.
Okay. And if that swayed your opinion in any way, shape, or form, then you're in the wrong relationship in the first place.
It didn't.
They're painting me out to be this person that I'm this floozy that goes after men that are engaged. I'm a realist.
You're not that person.
I sent that message well before you got back because of how I felt when I got back.
But Sarah Ann's like, I had real feelings. This was a real experience. And she's like, she's a realist and she wanted to speak up for herself. She felt like her feelings deserved to be heard and she deserves to be validated and all of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Whole lot of. Still shouldn't have texted that about to be married man. That's just my opinion. And Jeremy's like, yeah, I 100% agree with you on everything. And she's kind of like crying and whining at this point and saying that the girls are being mean to her and they're trying to paint an ugly and nasty picture of her and who she is as a person that's just simply not her. And Jeremy's like, hey, you know, I know, listen, calm down. I think we both know at this point that I made the wrong decision in the pod. I had every indication to choose you, and he basically didn't listen to what his brain was telling him. And me personally, I don't believe that. I think that Jeremy chose Laura because he thought Laura was gonna work. I don't think that Jeremy is ready for marriage. Mind you, the people that they casted in this season is crazy because Jeremy had just left a previous fiance who had like her own child or whatever. They had just sold the house before he came on the show, y'all. So I don't think he was ready for marriage. I don't think he knew what he was doing. I think he just let it happen. He wanted to be in the storyline, so he chose Laura. And then he's like, oh, well, this isn't working out. Let me try this. And so he tried it with Sarah Ann, but he tells Sarah Ann, you know, I had every indication to choose you. I should have chose you. And so Sarah Ann's like, yeah. So she wants to be validated. So she's gotten validated. So she's like, what do we do now?
And to say that I shouldn't send a message or that my feelings aren't valid or that the conversation shouldn't happen at a certain specific time, that's not life. I wasn't about to sit here and allow myself to not say exactly what I needed to say for myself. And I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry about that.
I don't think you should be sorry. I made the wrong decision, and I think you know that at this
point. What do we do now?
Do you want to go ride jet skis?
They literally go ride jet skis at the lake day. I cannot make this up. They do it in front of everybody. Like, everybody sees it. And the editors, once again, editing up to a T, they literally have Laura go into like a confessional. In the back, y'all, they're riding jet skis during Laura's confessional. I was like, this is so insanely insane. I would have been like, let's get another position. Let's get another spot because I'm not doing this. Laura reiterates that she doesn't respect Sarah Ann. She doesn't think that she's a good person. But But most of her anger lies with Jeremy because Jeremy is the one who got on one knee. Jeremy is the one who was supposed to protect her heart and he didn't. And Jeremy is the one who made a commitment to her to marry her, and he fell through with it because of his own infidelities.
He never stopped having feelings for her, and he should have known it. He should have picked her to begin with. He should have never involved me in the situation.
I understand where I was wrong on some things. I'm willing to admit my faults.
I'm Team Laura because that was just a little messed up what Sarah Ann did. So I just feel like I'm Team Laura. That's just what it is. Eat me up if you want to. Laura's like, he never chose me. He never cut her off. He never processed the feelings that he had for Sarah Ann. All things that she said before. And she just says that she basically never wants to see or speak to Jeremy again. So I am super excited for the reunion. I definitely will be doing a review over it. Laura, you're gonna have to see Jeremy. And to add on to that, apparently Sarah Ann and Jeremy have been seen together like post show. Like I said, I don't know what is up with the casting. I don't know what is up with the NDAs. So I think that they are probably still together. That was pretty much the end of the lake day. The rest of the episode was pretty much filler. It wasn't much going on. They had wedding prep. All of the girls and the men got to choose their dresses and their tux. All of the couples went on last dates. Amy and Johnny did like a campfire date, which is very on point for them. Clay and AD kind of went to a fancy dinner and they painted some shoes for their wedding. Jimmy and Chelsea did like an ice sculpting thing and they did an amusement park. And that's pretty much it. The episode ends with Jimmy and Chelsea kind of having a conversation about what they're gonna say to each other at the altar because that hadn't been discussed before. So I'm assuming episode 12 will pick up there and I'm super excited for it. So make sure you stick around for my reactions for the last 2 episodes that we're gonna get this season. I'm super excited. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Make sure that you guys join the crew and make it do what it do. Hit that notification bell that comes up after you subscribe so you know every time I post a new video. Make sure that you guys stay blessed and not stressed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios muchachas. Bye.